Hello everyone, and good day to you wherever you may be. My name is Habdul Hazeez, and welcome to the presentation. In less than how about so, I'm going to be detailing how you can strengthen your iOS and Android application by deploying web security framework on your system. This talk is inspired by the same post published on Javier, which is this post actually. This post, and you can find the same post on Dev. Sorry about that. And this post on Dev as well. Who am I? My name is Habdul Hazeez, as Swami started sharing this earlier, and I do technical writing on jobs of web development and computer security. And also, I'm also content creator and AI developer. You can find me online at Zizium on Twitter, David22, and on GitHub. That is ZIZIUM. Now, let's talk about it. This talk is about how to strengthen your iOS and Android application using mobile security framework. We're going to talk in three different parts actually. The first part is mobile app security and security in general as a whole. The second part is how to deploy mobile system on your system, and the third part is on how to keep up with the computer security as a whole ecosystem using resources online. Now, security, as a developer, you might think security is not your job. Actually, just like you write the code and you leave the rest for the security ninjas out there for it to do the work. Probably you're part of the developer team in which you just write the code, and probably there's a pen testing team that would want to focus on review the code before they actually give you the go ahead before the code the application is released to the public. But still, as a developer, security has to be at the forefront of every coding decision that you make. First, you might think mobile security for security, but the following points are sufficient for you to think otherwise. The first one, the more users on the move. Since the explosion of the mobile phones now, virtually everyone is on. Actually, most people on the internet right now are using smartphones, and these smartphones are loaded with all the applications they need to do their daily activity, from mobile applications to social media applications to business applications to immediate time. You just name it, everything is there. Now, once the users download these applications, they believe the application should be secure. It should not tamper with anything other than what is required. It should not take anything from their device other than what it should. A camera application requesting access to a config contact is absolutely a red flag. So definitely, you want to consider that as well. Now, for mobile application as well, we have banking applications. Virtually everyone has a banking application on your phone, myself included. Actually, it makes it easier for everyone. Just bottom line is, the more users have to move, and this mobile application from the smartphone, they are easily portable. You can carry on your pocket. You can go from here to anywhere you're going without the obscurity of carrying a very big large device just in pocket before you can even know that's it. Now, when users are using a mobile application, there's something called automatic. I'd like to describe it, automatic safe mode. What do I mean by that? When a user has the phone, definitely they put a password. They lock it down with the password. They put a biometric, all sorts of security just to make sure everything is safe on there, because they believe it is my device and no one else's. Now, once they install an application on the device, there's an innate automatic security mode and a safe mode that they believe that application should not compromise the device. It should not steal their data. It should not compromise their security and anything like that. Now let's take for an example that you are running a banking application. Okay, when a user logs in and happens to land on another person's account, like user A logs in and updates the details of user B account. Now, for 1 second, you might think, how is that possible? Let me show you something. This is Klarna. Klarna is a Swedish bank actually. Recently, you can say that was some months ago. Let's look at that, and then that's about 6 months ago. Users were logging in and they were landing on the account of another user. Bottom line is, user A logs in and hangs on user B logs in. Now, take for example now, user B is someone that's very, very private. Later knows that user A has seen all his account details, his banking and transaction and everything. He would definitely not feel good, and he might even go online, actually give you a review that's definitely not good about the application. Now, you might think that this is Klarna. What really happened? Probably somebody hacked them, but no. This error was actually caused by a technical update. When you update the application, that's when this stuff actually happened. The user actually went to social media to further about social. I'm sorry about the white page actually. That's currently working in Nigeria, so that I will say blank this way. Okay, after that, Klarna had to take the application offline. As you can see here, sorry, the Klarna currently there for maintenance. So you might think this cannot happen to you, but shortly it can happen to anyone, since practically no system is safe, but at least you're gonna do your best to keep up with the pace. Secondly, your application on the store can get infected with malware. What do I mean by this? Once you deploy your application, you might think it's all good, it's all safe, and no one can tamper with it. But in recent years, malware threat actors have gotten smarter, just like security professionals are getting smarter, just like a cat and mouse race. But at least the security guys are almost on the forefront all the time. Multiple times, a malware has sidestepped the security of Google Play Store in order to infect the users with malware. Now, let me show you an example. This application is what is smart TV remote on Android. Android on the Google Play Store is actually a malware. At first, when you see the application, it names might be deceiving that it is smart TV remote. At least smart TV remote, I'm going to use or stuff like that. But lo and behold, a manual security researcher has malware, but actually discovered that this application was actually a malware, and it was actually a malware detailed out. It was on malware by uploading some samples on VirusTotal. Later, the author of this book actually took apart the application and later found out that the application really contains a malware actually. Now, another thing entirely, Android malware. Another thing which is this. Malware actually can sneak into the beliefs. As you can see, Android banking malware infect 3,000 Play users. That's just like about some weeks ago. That's not from up to a month yet. Same thing. The threat actors implemented so many things just to sidestep all the security measures posed in place by Google in order to stop from some such things from happening. But still, they got onto the Play Store. They have to infect some application. One way or the other, if someone got the application on their system. And another point is that the possibility that a mistake will contain your users. Undoubtedly, your app will contain configuration in which probably all users is communicating with the backend services and stuff like that. Some configuration will enable to collect the data and send it to application, and probably even some internal APIs on your system that is not exposed to the user. But lo and below, if you use a public like Amazon S3, definitely public, that was quite popular. If your application is not configured probably it could be exposed on it, and this is a classical example of that. Data of 100, that's a staggering figure, 100 million users were exposed via most configured cloud servers. This cloud server was not used by, actually used by 100 applications. I mean, it was image configuration information. Not that it was just like an error on the developer or something like that. You might think this might not be you, but at least you are not perfect. Trust me, no one is perfect. But you gotta do your best and make your application perfect. But once this happens to you, you know at least you better take a little bit step back and analyze the security of your application and analyze your whole knowledge as well of security as you do. Another one is this. Since a sensitive flow, a sensitive data of what that was, this was 400,000 people actually. Just definitely this is an API error from the developer application, which data of students were actually this was just about 20 days ago, so a few days ago. Now if you scroll down these are the sample of data exposed. You can see the profile ID, the school ID, especially the email, the parent's email. Definitely, if the users find that some of these data were exposed online, they might not even take it lightly with you. They might not even use your application again. And trust me, you might even learn about it on social media before you actually forward that from a good private friend that, hey man, your application so and so wrong with it. So definitely, security is not something that we gotta play. You have to play with. You have to take it serious, and it has to be at the forefront of every decision you make, from the coding to the business, from everything like that, because your users are trusting you with their data, with their device. Definitely, if they install your application on their device, automatically let us know that, hey man, we are not going to do anything, or not. We are not supposed to do anything that you're not meant to do on my devices. Now, another thing was the staggering number of mobile users right now. Currently, now you can see how many users have smartphones in the world. About 6.3 billion, 6.737 billion, and that's about 80.63% of people have smartphones today. That's quite a large number amount of people. Now, back in 2016, Pokemon Go became quite a world phenomenon overnight, in which people are using the application, playing game almost every day. Now, let's take an example in which Pokemon Go was actually infected with the malware. Now, look at these figures here. You have your developer of Pokemon Go and it was infected with malware. People before you know it, people started receiving credits a lot on the system without doing any banking transaction. You might think that is possible, but trust me, it's actually possible. It's computer age, virtually everything, so almost anything is hackable. But see, that's one of the reasons why you start to take security very, very, very seriously. Now you might ask, what can you do? Of course, you have to test your application. Depending on the team you for your application, you have to test your application using appropriate tools. One tool is mobile security framework, which is what we are here to discuss actually. Now, the next question is, what is mobile security framework? Mobile security framework is capable of static and dynamic analysis of application developed for the Android owned by Google, the iOS owned by Apple, and Windows operating system. Now, the first question is, what is static analysis? Static analysis is when you pick the complete executable of the file, which is the APK, the Android, or the executable of the file, and you run through MobSF, and MobSF is going to do a surgery on the device. It's going to take it apart, look for the components, analyze it, and give you a comprehensive report about what is going on and what is not going on. Why dynamic analysis is where when the application, you have to simulate when the application is running, you have to know its behavior. You have to be some malware might actually be dormant when the user is not a user, but actually active when the user picks it up. There are many examples in which malware will use listening to sensor of the phone. Once the user picks up the phone, it goes inactive. Once the user drops the phone again, it becomes active again. Abusing the accelerometer of the device actually. Now, the next question is, where does MobSF fit in your software development lifecycle? Simple. The software development lifecycle starts with the design of the application, the coding, stuff like that, up down to the testing and the maintenance. Testing, that means the application is already in-house, it's ready, the product team are getting ready, everyone wants to know when are we getting this, and are we getting that, stuff like that. At that stage, you can actually use MobSF and test your application out. Once you apply the application to MobSF will go through, we analyze the application and tell you what's wrong and what is not wrong. But lo and behold, if your application is already out there before you learn about mobile security framework, actually, then you can pick the application back, get a copy of the application, and run it through the application, which definitely that is the maintenance phase. Now, how to install MobSF in your system, which is the fun part actually. First, we're going to start with the Google, so follow along. That's what MobSF might shield so many results. Let's just streamline it a bit. We actually look at the docs. So, that's to be the first link. Let's click on it. Here is the home page of Mobile Security Framework, which lists the project developers, the support, if you can support them, please do, and what the learning content and certification available. But if you're interested in installing the Mobile Security Framework on your system, so definitely we want to check out the system requirements. For the requirements, Windows is our point of our focus here, but at least let's go in case you're using other system. For Mac, these are the tools that you need to install, everything you need to install: Git, Python, the protected project JDK, and for Ubuntu, almost the same thing. And for Windows, you will need Git. The first question is, why do you need Git? But first, let me close this. Why do you need Git? Let me show you why. As you can see, this is a GitHub. This is the GitHub repository. Also, source really for that. So once you get to, this is the GitHub repository of MobSF actually. There are two ways to get. There are so many ways you can get the code from this repository into your system. Among these is you can actually download the master archive, which is that download button right there, but that might not be efficient enough. Another one is to use Git. Git, that's popular, but and then used to copy code from Git repository that implemented Git, like GitHub or GitLab. So definitely you will need Git for that. So let's just close that for now. Back. Now, how do you get Git? As a website scale, let's check that out. Now, based on your setup, you can see you can choose based on your architecture system for 32-bit of Windows, for 64-bit of Windows, and for a portable version which you can carry on your pen drive, you can choose one and select this one. So if I click on that, I'm 64-bit, let's take that. It starts downloading, but I already have it on my system, so there's no need for that. I can actually pause it and just show you I already have it on my system. As you can see, Put 1, 2, 3, git. Yeah, git storage on my system, so definitely I don't need to install it again. Now, another one we want to look at was Python 3. Between Python actually, specifically between 3.8 and 3.9. So once you click on the badge, click on open new tab, go to the site. The interface might be quite complex and for so just advise just scroll down the page a little bit and look at the downloads footer button. There we go, download. Click on it. Scroll down. Said what are we looking for? 3.8 and 3.9 actually. So definitely we need to look for that 3.8 and 3.9, but click on it. Scroll down a little bit and yes. If you are using Mac, pick your appropriate installer based on your system actually. If you are using Windows, pick up that, but Windows 34-bit, click on that. It's already downloading, but lo and behold, already have to, so I will just pause that and just move on. Now, the first thing you might think that why do we need Python? Let me show you why. Some of the components of mobile security framework are actually written in Python. So just click on the food available. So just scroll down a little bit. As you can see, startup.py. So definitely, for this to work on your system, you will definitely need Python installed instead, because this code is actually Python code, and definitely it will require the Python interpreter for your system, which will be noted, and that's the main reason, and all among others, why you need Python set up on your system. Now another one is JDK. JDK means Java Development Kit provided by Oracle. Definitely, as you see later, MobSF actually decompiles the code of the application, and most applications of the Android application and most other applications are mostly written in Java programming language. So a quick start for JDK should land you on the Oracle website itself. That's cool. Luckily for the good CEO, first click on the list. If you scroll down a little bit, is the architecture. You have the one for the Linux. If you are on Linux, pick the one suited for your architecture. If you are on Mac, you can select the one that fits your architecture. And lo and behold, if you're on Windows, which I am, you can select the one that fits your. You can select anyone you like, but at least if you go for the download, click on this. I already have that in my system, so there's no need to download that. We can actually post that as well. So let's just cancel this for now. Cancel. Another, yes. Now, up to the next requirement. Microsoft Visual C++ build tools. It's another requirement which you need to have on your system for you to get MobSF working. It will actually link to the Microsoft Studio and download. It will also download a small executable that will later download the build tools on your system needed for system. Without all these tools, there's one thing you know. The MobSoft won't install on it. As you can see, it's just a small executable. It's completely download already. Now, another one tool we require is OpenSSL. As you can see, OpenSSL stands for Open Source. This is the page you go to in which you download. Just go down here, pick your right architecture on your system. But first, let me see if I have OpenSSL on my system. OpenSSL. Yes, sorry about that. Yes, it's on my system, so definitely I'm into that. Once again, we can actually confirm. Yes, that's the install folder for the system. Definitely, I've got that installed, so I don't need to worry about that. So back to the requirements. Now, the next one was WKHTML to HTTP. WKHTML to PDF. That's what's the job of the actually. This one actually converts the static report, as you see later, of the application from MobSoft into the PDF format in which you can carry about and just analyze on your system. Now, with that out of the way, what the installation. Now, as I said earlier, and as you've seen earlier, let's just close up on the requirements. And let's leave that. Yes, we're gonna leave that. Let's leave that. And leave that. And good. Now, this is good. This command actually will clone the entire repo. Which is this repo first, to download everything on your system. At the time of speaking, which is today, December 4, 2021, the installation file of our MobSoft was about 1.5 gigabytes of disk space. Now, even though I already have to my system, but let me just show you how. Now, first, let's clear it. Let's go to. I already have my system, so let me just choose another directory just for demo purposes. Then it's in there. That's it. Okay, now let's go back. Let's copy this link, right click and copy back to our command line, paste it. So right click and what? And paste. With that, once you hit the command, this command will download the entire MobSF GitHub repo and download it onto your system. As you can see, it's quite a big file, almost 1,880,000 connects. So I already have it to my system, so definitely for that, so I'm just going to close that. I'll close the back. Now, with that installed on your system, your folder directory for MobSF should look something like this. As you can see, let me show you the size. Yes, see. About 1.5 actually. More than that, after you get to white, it's quite large in the first place. Now, this is the entire folder. Now, once it downloads on your system, you need to perform some setup, which is what I'm going to show you next now. Let's go back to our command line. I've done it, but it's on my desktop, so let's go back to desktop. Okay, CD. Okay, catching that now. Now, once the repo has cloned to your system successfully, the first thing you need to run is what is this particular file, set up the bat. I already done this. I do put the dot here. The first slide was set up .bat. Now I'm not going to run this. I'm going to run this on myself because I already have it on my system. But once you run it, it will download all the requirements that MobSF actually needs to run your system. First, it's going to check for the Python version, all the stuff like that. The appropriate permission is set. Make sure you actually run this command in administrative mode and stuff like that. Once it downloads, then that's when you can actually run MobSF on your system. But first, since I already have it definitely for that, so what I need now, as stated in the documentation, since I already have all the tools, is to run it using that command. But first, let me close that. So run. Sorry about that. Run.bat 127.0.0.1. That's localhost 8000. Okay, with that, MobSF running on that particular port. Now, let's go back to our browser and check it out. On a local system, 127.0.0.1 and localhost 8000. Yes, here we are. And just close that in here. Good. This is the interface for mobile security from once it's on a system. There are so many ways you can go about analyzing application and system on this application actually. The first, as stated, is drag and drop. You actually drag the application and just drop it into this interface, and most of it will sing behind it. Or probably you actually upload the application and analyze it on the go. Just to upload and analyze. That's it. And the test APK file we're going to use. So once I select the test APK file and just open it, it's going to analyze this. One more thing, this actually bring in the report quite very fast. On the first scan, actually, it's depending on the APK side, it's going to take a while for the scan to complete. Now, the reason why you're seeing this so fast is because I've already run the scan before, and so definitely MobSF has some kind of cache at the back and this that. Remember that I've run it, so definitely there's no need for you to go over the scan again. But at least if you go back to your command line, you see the details of what is already running behind it. Now, the first thing you want to check out the security, of course, check the views of the application. That will load the Java source code of the application and stuff like that. So So let's go there and see what's. This might take a while to load. At least you already have another option. What to view this mod? Okay, here we are. Still loading. You can actually view the small code, download Java code, and if you're still interested, you can actually download the game. And since it's complete, good. Now, if you have to view the source, just click on this tiny button here, click on drop down menu here, and what? Click on that same tree, just open the tree. You can actually you can actually view the source code. You can actually do it for every step of that, and what? And you see the resulting Java code behind the application. Another one, check out what its permissions. What permission is the system using? Now, as you can see, access to network is good, the Wi-Fi state is good, download and notification unknown, but the one that's probably of interest is what? Read external storage, in which also analyze it as what is dangerous. Definitely this application should not do that, because it's meant to do another thing, and now it can read external storage. That's why most sort of flagged that as a dangerous application. Another one where it can actually write to the external storage. Definitely this application. The reason why MobSF say that it's dangerous because it's not meant to do that. It's not meant to do another thing entirely. Now you can still go back and check the next page of the application, but still that's not good now.